Me and my wife are in our early 30s, and we've been trying to have a baby for several years now. Unfortunately, she is probably unable to get pregnant. We've run several tests, and it's only hers that come back with bad news. Additionally, I've accidentally gotten a girl pregnant a few years before I met my wife, who ended up having an abortion, so I know that it can't be me with the fertility issues. I don't blame my wife at all. In fact, I'm excited to talk to her about other options such as adoption or surrogacy. I love my wife so much that I would want to raise children together even if they're not biological. I was on the phone with my wife's mother the other day. She started saying unusual things. She said it was okay that I couldn't have kids, or maybe we could find a sperm donor for my wife, and she knew that I'd be a good dad even if the kids weren't related to me. I was confused. I told my mother-in-law that it was my wife who was having the fertility issues, not me. I'm sure it was a harmless misunderstanding, so I talked about it with my wife and she got really mad at me. She said it was her mom and I should have just went along with it because she always wants to be seen as good and capable in her mother's eyes. So am I wrong for sharing personal information with my mother-in-law?
Part 2 of how a fortune teller saved my life. Months went by since I saw the fortune teller. I never gave what she said a second thought. One morning I woke up and went to go check the mail. There was a package on my doorstep, but I hadn't ordered anything recently. There was a bad storm that day, and the package was soaked. After taking it inside, I noticed that the package wasn't mine and it had been delivered to the wrong address. This is when it clicked in my head, and I remembered what the crazy old fortune teller lady had told me. I'll receive something that isn't mine, it'll be wet, stay at a friend's house that night. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little freaked out. I thought to myself it was probably a coincidence and that packages get delivered to the wrong address all the time. But what she said stayed in the back of my mind all day. I decided to stay at my sister's house that night just to be safe. I went over to her house in the storm and we had a much needed girls' night. The next morning I went home and I was shocked. Sometime last night during the storm, the large tree in my front yard had fallen on my house right on top of my bedroom. It completely broke through the roof, destroying my room and the hall. I got back in my car and drove to the fortune teller's business to thank her. When I got there, her business had been closed down and she was nowhere to be found. To this day, I still believe that her warning saved my life.
Not making my daughter rehire our neighbor to her small business. My 12-year-old daughter started a small business with money she'd saved up and even hired a few kids from the neighborhood to work with her. One of the neighborhood kids she hired wasn't doing good work, so she ended up firing them. I stayed out of it. The mother of the child my daughter let go contacted me and said her child was feeling left out now that they couldn't participate in the business and asked me to instruct my daughter to rehire them. I explained that I'm really not involved in the business at all, so I didn't feel right doing that. She said that that's all well and good to stand back to an extent, but when it gets to the point that it's exclusionary, it's my responsibility to step in as the parent, because now her child's feelings have been hurt, and that's more important than how lucrative my daughter's business is or is not. I told her I couldn't help. She was pretty flustered and said that I could help, but I was choosing not to. It got to a point that I more or less had to ask her to leave my house. I see both sides and worry that I was harsh in what I said to her, or should have given her concerns a longer hearing. But I don't know what else I could have said or not said to her. Am I wrong for refusing to intervene? Story time. My date doesn't pay her bill. I get to the restaurant 10 minutes early, and she's already there eating appetizers. Then she goes ahead and orders the most expensive dinner on the menu, and tells me that she did it because she knows that I'm paying. Small talk fails, and for 45 minutes she complains about how no one is refilling her wine glass. She mentions how she was told that I make a decent salary multiple times. I try to be civil and change the subject. Awkward conversational topics ensue, nothing even close to first date etiquette follows. 3/4 of the way through, I go to the bathroom, and our waiter walks by, asking me if we're doing a reality show or something along those lines, since he has seen this disaster in motion. We talk about how wild this woman is for about 5 minutes, and then I ask him to stop at our table and ask about the bill. I immediately say split checks and give him $80, roughly $40 for my bill and $40 for his tip. The date looked shocked and ended up not being able to pay her bill, so the friend who hooked us up got a call and flipped the rest of her check. Her total came out to be about $75. Was I wrong for this? Or should she have paid? I was seeing a girl in college, and we actually lived quite close to each other, so we'd seen each other a little bit over the summer. I'd been to her house, met her parents, etc. She went away on a trip with the college choir, and her phone wasn't going to work while she was away, so I decided to surprise her at the airport when she got back. You know, be all romantic and stuff. So I'm waiting at the airport arrivals lounge. I start to see a couple of faces I recognize from college filter through. She then walks through. I start to walk towards her, and I realize that she's holding hands with one of my high school friends that also went to my college and happened to go on the trip with her. I'm not stupid. I quickly realize what's going on, but by this point, her dad has already seen me, walked up to me, and started a conversation with me. By this point, I'm reasonably sure I'm going to implode, and it's too late to get away. She's here, he's here. It's just really awkward. She tells me that we need to talk, and I say that we probably don't need to bother and walk back to the coach station for my 3-hour bus ride home.
I'm currently 2 months pregnant, but my mother-in-law has clearly stated she is not happy for me and hates that I'm pregnant. She's been coming over a lot to cook for us, but I haven't been eating her food. Not because I don't like it, I've just been in a lot of pain and very nauseous. But she's always complaining about it. I've been taking a lot of vitamins for my pregnancy, and when my mother-in-law asked, I didn't think much of it. This past Sunday, she came into our house and stayed for hours. Everywhere I go, I see her looking for something. I ask what she's looking for, but she doesn't say what, so I walk away and give her privacy. The past few days, I've had really bad abdominal pain, upset stomach, headache, and nausea. So when I called my doctor, she asked if I was taking anything, and I said yes, vitamins. She asked me to bring them in. That's when she told me it wasn't vitamins, it was actually aspirin. I knew right away my mother-in-law was the one who switched them out. I can't believe it. My mother-in-law made me feel so sick, and I almost miscarried if I didn't go see a doctor. I told my husband, and he confronted his mom. She completely denied it and said she would never do anything to harm her unborn grandbaby. It's so clear that she replaced my vitamins and she's lying about it. I'm so upset and I feel like I'm not being safe with her. I have no trust and I want her out of my life. But my husband says we have no proof.
Story time about why my mom kicked me out when I was 16. So a little background information. This had all started as soon as my dad left my mom and I. I was like 13 around the time. Well, ever since then, my mom would have different guys in and out of the house all the time. Like, we were lucky if a month went by and she was still with the same dude. Which, I mean, I kind of get it because my dad did leave us for a woman that he had started another family with. But at the same time, it was just a whole mess. Anyway, so she had got with this new guy and we're gonna call him Tyler. And by the way, the dudes that she would date, they would literally live at our house. Anyway, so a week after he moved in, I started getting really close to him, which usually never happens. Usually I would try to keep my distance because I knew how wrong it was of her having all these different guys in the house when I'm only 16. Anyways, every time that my mom would go to work, he would invite me to go see a movie and he would just be really Part 2. So it turns out the person who sent it to me was one of the girls in my friend group. So at that point, every single person in that friend group was dead to me and I needed to get every single one of them back. So like I said, I started texting all my ex's best friends and I asked every single one of them if they wanted to hook up. 4 of them said yes, the other 3 just blocked me. And the 4 who said yes all had girlfriends in our friend group. Well, the girls in my friend group had no idea, so they invited me to their party. And at that party, it was my mission to do the dirty with every single one of those guys. Well, there was this bathroom in the basement, which nobody knew about except the girl whose house it was. So one after the other, I did the dirty with every single one of them in that bathroom. And I made sure to snap a picture or take a video, so that way I could send it to my boyfriend. I know, I'm crazy, get over it. Well, in the morning, my ex's closest best friend came over. Well, I did the dirty with him too, because my ex hated him being around me, because he was known for screwing other people's girlfriends. Okay, there's gonna be a part 3.
Story time about when my mom caught me doing it with my best friend.
I was 16 at the time, and there was this new boy that moved in across the street from us. He was super cute, and I noticed him right away. My parents were super strict. I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend or even any guy friends, and I knew right away that I wanted to at least become this guy's friend because he was so cute. So one day I told my mom, hey, why don't we take cookies or something to welcome the new neighbors in town? And my mom was like, that's a great idea. So we end up going over and we meet them. They're really nice. And the cute boy comes downstairs and he tells his mom he's going to go to Bible study. Well, when we get home, I tell my mom, hey, you know what? Maybe I should join a Bible study group too. And my mom was like, great idea. She even told me to go ask him about it since he had mentioned it. One day he's mowing the lawn, so I decided to go talk to him and ask him about the Bible study group. He actually ended up taking me there that same day and we had a fun class. Over the next few weeks, we became really, really good friends. Best friends. We told each other everything. But there was always attraction between
Bye.